such thing as truly passive sources of income? Is there such thing as a truly passive investment when it comes to real estate? Now, on this channel, we talk about how to develop financial freedom through passive investment in real estate. But when I talk to a lot of doctors, like in Facebook groups, when I go to conferences and events, and I tell dentists, hey, the best way to achieve true financial freedom is to develop streams of income that are completely passive and independent of you going and having to work. Now, when I say that, a lot of dentists roll their eyes at me and they say, there's no such thing as passive investment in real estate, right? So if we're managing real estate, then it's not passive, and there's no such thing as building wealth passively. Real estate is an active thing and you have to be involved. Now, many of the people that have been following us for a long time know that there's no truth to this. But in this video, we're gonna go back to the basics. We're gonna talk about whether you can achieve true passive investment. We're gonna talk about what passive investment in real estate is, how to develop passive streams of income, why these income streams are actually passive and independent of the doctor. We're gonna talk about how you can invest in real estate without having to go and find the properties. You'll never have to fix a toilet, and you'll never have to meet or interface with a tenant. All right, guys, welcome back to the channel. I'm Dr. Jonny Walker, aka Jonny Withananchi. I am a part-time endodontist as well as a full-time real estate investor and fund manager. My firm helps dentists achieve financial freedom through passive investment in real estate. So far, we've helped close to 100 dentists get started in their passive real estate investing journey. If you are interested in learning more about how to invest alongside us in high-quality real estate assets and opportunities nationwide, go in the description below, click on the website, get more information. You can also schedule a call with me and we will build a customized strategy session specially for you. Now, when it comes to dentists and we're like, hey, look, you should get investing in real estate. This is how most doctors think about it. All right, well, I'm gonna go buy a single family house, maybe a nice Airbnb, short-term rental. I've heard about how much income these guys can make from this, and I'm gonna get a property manager. So that way it's gonna be more passive. Right? I'm not going to be the one that goes and deals with all these people. I'm going to hire a property manager and they're going to run it for me. And all I'm going to do is collect the profits. Now, most people who enter the real estate arena, this is how they think it works. It's almost what we're kind of taught and introduced to. You watch Property Brothers, right? You watch Flip That House. It's single family houses, right? And most doctors feel, hey, I want to get my feet wet. I want to start by buying a small house. And there's nothing wrong with this. There's a lot of people that make money from buying a couple of houses and, building some cash flows. However, there are many problems with this investing strategy. Number one, you're dependent on a property manager who doesn't get paid very much. For example, if the rent is $700 or $1,000 a month and the property manager is getting paid 5 to 10% of gross rents, that means they're getting paid about $70 to $100 a month. Now, that isn't a lot of money to pay anybody to manage a house, right? And it isn't the type of money that's going to attract top quality people. Top quality managers with relevant experience and expertise, right? Paying $70 or $100 a month isn't going to push the needle for most people. And number two, there's no scalability. If you have invested in more than one house or more than even 5 houses, you know that it doesn't get any easier. In fact, it gets harder to manage. Why? Because if you have 10 properties, you have to drive to 10 different addresses. Say you have a 100-unit property in one place, a large multifamily building or apartment complex. It's almost as easy as managing one house, as long as you have the proper systems and procedures in place. And that is why I wanted to get into this investment. It's scalable. So I got into pooled real estate or syndication real estate. And pooled real estate, syndication real estate is when it's a group of people pool their money together to buy a large asset that they wouldn't be able to afford individually. Right? So we pool a bunch of money together to buy a 150-unit apartment building. And based on how much we invest, we get a percentage of the ownership of that place. We get a percentage of the profits and cash flows and tax advantages. And in these type of large properties, you can have a few investors to hundreds of investors to buy, especially when you're buying 300, 400, 600 unit portfolios that can run over $100 million. Oftentimes, there's hundreds of people have invested in order to pool enough capital to buy the asset. On top of that, you have a professional property management company that operates the property and interfaces with the tenants. The property management company is the one that is involved with leasing up units, dealing with tenants, dealing with toilets, dealing with termites, and most importantly, putting in the time to make this property operate. Now, this is what allows the investor to be completely passive. And this is what investors want. They want to invest their money in real estate and watch it grow, as well as collect their percentage of the profits, but without doing the work. On top of that, passive investors can invest in larger, higher quality real estate assets that has the potential for higher profits with an overall lower risk profile. These passive investors then to defer to the expertise of the owner or the operator in that particular niche in real estate. And they get to stay out of operations. They get to not have voting rights and have any control of the property. To me, that's one of the biggest advantages, is extricating yourself from these responsibilities, but still getting the ownership. And then what you get to do is that the person actually operating, or the team or company that's operating the real estate, specializes in that specific area, in that specific asset class. And we get to leverage that. They get the knowledge, they develop relationships with the people of the town so they can get permits and they can get approvals, etc. They know all the local brokers, so they get first shot at the deals. They know all the local service people, so they know who to go to get what done, etc. And we as investors get to leverage their expertise. We're leveraging the systems and procedures that they have put in place. It also decreases our liability, right? We have no operational liability. We have no property level liability, and we have no credit liability. That liability all falls on the general partner, not on the investor. They have to make sure the property runs possibly. If they have to put their name on the loan, right? So we don't. Now, if it was an active investment, on the other hand, the investor would have to interface with the property manager, and you have to do that. That's part of asset management. Even if you have a property manager, it is your responsibility to manage the manager, to make sure the manager is doing the right job, is to making sure that they're doing the right decisions. You should have constant oversight. But as a passive investor, you don't have to do this. Passive investors get to remain truly passive because they're allowing professional companies to do that part of it. So if there is a problem with the property, a pipe bursts, tenant fight happens, the property manager will handle the issues and they'll communicate that with the owner operator or the asset manager to deal with the problem. They don't come back to the passive investors and say, hey, what should we do? Right? What would you do here? We get to not give a shit. This is part of my language, right? We do give a shit, but we don't have to be the one that gives a shit, if that makes any sense, right? And that's what allows us, again, like I said, to be passive. All we do is invest a 50 grand or 100 grand. And this is our self-storage operator in Florida. This is the guy that we invest with self-storage in Florida, right? So now we've removed ourselves from worrying about it because they're going to worry about it. They've proven themselves as responsible stewards. Now, there are many benefits of investing in these type of passive investments. They're also called syndications, right? Number one, the operator is doing all the work. This allows the investor to be totally passive. Getting loans, underwriting, talking to brokers, we don't do none of that. Number two, it allows the operator to specialize in one specific area. We know how it is when we specialize. I'm an endodontist, right? So I've specialized in root canal therapy. That means I'm the authority on doing root canals compared to a general dentist or a periodontist, for example, right? So if I'm a self-storage operator in Florida, then the investors that invest alongside that operator, they get to take advantage of the expertise and working environment and market knowledge. Number three, and because passive investors are not making decision rights, they are not exposed to property level liability, nor are they exposed to credit liability. Number four, passive investors get to rely on true experts. For example, if someone spent the last 10 years of their life investing in self-storage or say multifamily real estate in Florida, then as a passive investor, say I'm a passive investor who wants to invest in a mobile home park. I want to diversify my investment. Then what I can do is find an expert in that niche and invest alongside them so that you can leverage their systems, their operations, their whole investment thesis. When you have experts or specialists in a certain area, this is when people have the most success. So if we have a self-storage operator and they've spent 10 or 15 years doing nothing but self-storage, then they probably gained a lot of great experience and they're probably really good at it. If you think about specialists in whatever they do, Michael Jordan, Steve Jobs, Ray Dalio, people that decided to specialize in one area and they had massive success. We go to Michael Jordan if we want to learn about performing in fourth quarters in basketball games. We don't go to Michael Jordan for advice on our heart condition, right? So we go to specialists. If we want to know about heart conditions, we're going to go to a specialist in a cardiologist, right? An interventional cardiologist that does nothing but work with people with the condition that you have. We rely on defer to their third-party expertise, and that's the same thing you do in a passive investment. We piggyback on their knowledge, we piggyback on their systems, we piggyback on their processes and their software, and ultimately, we piggyback on their investments. All right, guys, I hope that helps. I mean, if you think that if there's anything else you want to add, definitely let me know in the comments below. If you want to have any ideas for videos that you'd like to see in future episodes, please let me comment in the comments below. Please do share this video with like-minded colleagues who would also get value out of this. And if you haven't subscribed already, please do subscribe to the YouTube channel, because next week we're going to keep the information flowing and your bank accounts growing. Until next time, I'm Dr. Jonny Walker. Boom!